Theocracy, welcome again. This is a second time at Brainstorm. You've been in Holland a couple of times. It seems to me that you play in Europe more often than you do in the United States. Is that something that I came up with, or is it really true?
Yeah, that really is true. And I think it's just the style of music, especially metal. In the States, it's much more the screamy metalcore type bands. So even a local show for us, we'll get bigger numbers over here than in our hometown. So,
With that in mind, why do you choose this style of music?
I think for me it was just that sound. I didn't know it existed coming from the U.S. And it just happened to be more European bands that played that style. So then I met Matt. He had just finished Theocracy, the first album. And I was like, whoa, this guy lives literally right next to me. And it's the same style of music, and then just took off from there.
Matt, when the first album was made, did you feel alone in this style of music that you play?
Well, I knew other people liked it. I'd been to two other shows, and I'd grown up loving, bands that played a similar style. But
like?
Queensryche was the first big one for me. And so many. But I mean, I've never been one to really worry what others think so much. So I knew I had to write these songs, for, if nothing else, me and my friends like to listen to them. So that's how it started.
Yeah, I know musicians as people that love art, their own art, and that they have some kind of ambition. What kind of ambition does a musician have when your whole country doesn't like what you do? You said it right.
Als je eigen land het dan niet zo leuk vindt, wat zijn dan je doelen in je leven? Wat wil je dan echt?
Well, we have a home over here too, right? I say this all the time in interviews, but really all I ever wanted to do was write songs and write the best songs I could. I never thought about anything else. I never thought about, career or trying to tour or do this or do that. Everything else just fell into place. So I think, as an artist and as a musician, if you come from an honest place and do it for pure reasons, other people will find you, other people will start to listen eventually. So, if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, then maybe you won't be happy with the size of your audience or whatever, but we just don't worry about that stuff. We love to do it, and thankfully you guys show up.
It's good that you say that you have a second home. It's obviously I'm horribly mean to you. Then, that having said, your album was in the Billboard charts this week. The Billboard charts isn't really made out of European people. Is there something going on in the United States that you should be aware of?
Maybe. It started with As the World Bleeds, because As the World Bleeds hit the Billboard Heatseeker chart, which is for new bands, and we saw that and we said, what? And then we seem to have a lot more people asking for U.S. shows. So we've talked about doing a small tour over there. It's so difficult because the U.S. is so spread out that you have to be very smart about it. It's not like Europe where you can travel from place to place, fairly reasonably. So we'll start small if we do it, but maybe next year we'll see, 5 or 10 shows and see if anyone comes.
Yeah. You've done Europe in the past week. Were there new places that you visited, or are those cities that you have fan bases already?
It was mostly places that we've been before. A couple places like in Czech Republic that we visited before, like Prague and Brno, and it's kind of a surreal thing where you go back and you're like, oh, I know this place in Prague. You know, it's strange, but yeah, we kind of stuck to familiar ground a little bit this tour. There were a couple new places, but and they were just as welcoming and warm and great as we could have hoped for from the places we have been. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah. There's a new album out. Somebody at the merch table tonight asked me, is it similar to the first, the earlier albums, or if not, how is it different?
Well, that's probably a better question for someone else than for us, but I think it's definitely, I mean, if you like what we've done in the past, I can't imagine that you won't like Ghost Ship. It's, yeah, I mean, we just do what we do, you know, and it's same thing we've done. It's maybe a little more focused, a little more concise. You know, there's only one song that's 10 minutes this time instead. That's probably the biggest difference, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's similar in the sense that, you know, we've talked about before. It's definitively us. Like, you can't listen to it and not know that it's a Theocracy album. But I think there are sort of the logical progressions, you know, like as a band, if you're not growing from album to album, then you're stagnating. So I think we've grown in that regard, but I think it still stays true to kind of what we've been doing.
Is it a stack of stories in this album, or is it one complete story, like a concept album?
It's not a concept album. There's, you know, if there's anything approaching a theme, we wanted to be very encouraging with this album. Positivity. We wanted to really speak to the misfits and the outcasts and people that we've met, you know, after shows, people who don't necessarily fit in, which I've always been like that, so I completely relate, and I met so many people and heard their stories and related to them, and so, you know, I mean, as the world bleeds, everything we do, we try to have a thread of positivity. As the world bleeds, I mean, sometimes we take some very dark roads to get there, you know, that's how life is, you know. So, as the world bleeds had kind of a harsh message, even though it was positive in the end. So, if there was anything approaching a theme this time, it was just to be uplifting, encouraging, positive.
Yeah. How does a ghost ship fit into this message of hope?
Well, I use that as a metaphor. What I was referring to earlier, you know, the misfits and the people who, you know, I think especially with the younger generation, you know, we met a lot of teenagers and you know, young kids and after shows and you know, there are people who call this generation the justice generation because they really want to make a difference somehow. I think it's with the chaos of life, social media, the world the way it is now, I think sometimes it's hard to feel like your life matters. And so I was thinking about the ghosts of society, the invisible people to the world, the people who, you know, others maybe look straight through and don't see because they're not wealthy or they're not important or they're not cool or, you know, all the things I never was. And, you know, those are the people who make the biggest impact sometimes. And so that was the idea of Ghost Ship. You know, there's a place where all of us not cool people can come together and have an impact. So. You guys are cool.
You just explained how hard it is for a musician to get your story out. I can imagine when you fly back in a couple of days that you're not a musician anymore, or still a musician, but you have a job besides it. What is it that you do?
Well, I'm always a creative person, so I'm a photographer and also a videographer, so I make movies and take photos. So fortunately, I can take off work because I work for myself. So it's easy to be a musician and travel a lot.
Yeah. You have an easy boss.
I kill time at a restaurant on the weekends, and I try to do as many guitar lessons as I can throughout the week. Lost a lot of students in the last couple of years, but
I haven't really been focusing.
You lost a lot of students?
Yeah, I stopped focusing on having lessons all the time.
Okay.
And
It's not that
I
you're
got
retired or something.
Yeah, I got tired of really just forcing people to try to play music. You know, I always meet people that want to play, but they don't really take it serious, and I don't try to force them to do it anymore. So, because you can't make somebody a musician; they have to want it. You know, so they have.
And what
to,
is it that you do in the restaurant?
I serve tables and deliver food sometimes.
Okay.
Audio engineer, so mixing for other bands, recording local bands, things like that, studio.
I'm a CPA back home, so I do the numbers for this youth traveling sports complex.
You do what?
It's a sporting complex with like fields, basketball courts, that youth traveling sports, which is big in the States, come through.
Oh, okay.
And so I do all kind of the numbers behind the scenes, the complete contrast.
He's
from
the
music.
smart one.
We have an accountant in the audience out there, it sounds like. I actually also do video work. I'm not lucky enough to work for myself like this guy over here, but I do video editing, videography, and that kind of thing. So,
Is there like a dream of being a musician full time?
I mean, that's always a dream, right? But yeah, it would certainly be nice.
But I think it's like Matt said, that's not our goal, like why we're doing it. You know, we just kind of, you know, the thought wasn't how can we make the sales better from as world leaders. It's like, let's just, you know, do this next album that we all, you know, would be proud of, and, you know, the results if it happens.
I've also gotten to the point where I spent so many years and working so many bad jobs that were kind of soul crushing, and so music, you know, and writing was kind of, you know, in a way an escape, and so in a way I've gotten comfortable with it, and I've gotten comfortable with the fact that I like being able to think of Theocracy as a completely pure creative endeavor. And I don't have to worry about, oh, we've got to play so many shows so we can pay our bills or whatever. You know, I mean, in a way, it's to me, it's kind of. I mean, it would be nice to be a full-time musician, I guess, but I'm okay with it. I mean, it's never been our goal. So.
Yeah. You said you always have to be smart. Yeah. Okay. You always have to be smart about getting your music out in a better way. Maybe come up with some strategies. Can you take us in the next couple of weeks or months, the things that you have planned to get this new album out more?
I don't think we have a lot planned, really. We've got, we're doing one US show back home in Atlanta, December 3rd, as an album release show for Ghost Ship. And we've talked about, like I mentioned earlier, you know, possibly some more US shows next year. We'll probably do another couple music videos, and other than that, you'd have to ask Mr. Emil from Ulterium Records. I don't know where he is. He'd be the one who does all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Then one question that's kind of stupid, but still it's relevant, because since you were here in Europe, you were here in Europe. America changed in the last week.
Alright, see you guys.
How was it for you to hear all the European opinions about the election?
I really don't care. I think we were all kind of glad that we were here when it happened instead of there. We hope that we have a country to go home to. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. I don't think we much, you know, any of us really have much of a stomach for it. So try to stay informed, but why waste your life worrying about things that you can't control like that? So.
Thank you. Okay, this is a good moment for you to take over, because I know there's questions in the audience.
There you are.
Who's the first?
Can you tell something about your name?
My name is Matt Smith. Oh, you mean the band name? Okay, got it. I was like, well, I guess we didn't really introduce ourselves. We probably should.
I'm Ernie, I play drums. I'm Val, play guitar, lead guitar.
I'm John, I play guitar.
I'm Jared, I play the bass guitar.
So yeah, the name Theocracy, it's by definition, it's I guess end times, political term, I guess you would say, meaning a government ruled directly by God where there's no men involved. And so I started thinking about that concept and thought, well, what if that was a personal thing, a life ruled directly by God and trying to live by God's principles and instead of sort of a big picture government thing, it's a more humble, specific to each person thing. And so I wrote the song Theocracy about that, and I've been writing these songs with no band name for probably 5 years at that point, and because I didn't want to just decide on some stupid name that I would regret, and so I thought that was not only was it a good concept, but I thought it sounded good for a band name too, so there we go. Okay.
Matt, do you have any plans for Project Aegis in the future?
I hope so. He asked about Project Aegis, which is a benefit thing, I guess you would say. We recorded a couple of songs for charity with different singers that I wrote, and which was really fun for me because I never had a dream of being a singer. I just wanted to write songs, so it's nice to not have to worry about that part of it. And even though I enjoy singing, don't get me wrong, but so we did one for the first for Pastor Bob Beeman in Sanctuary, his ministry in Nashville, because there's a huge, they have a ministry where they're very faithfully every week, regardless of weather, regardless of anything going on, they're under the bridge down there feeding the people in need, and it's very expensive and it's very time consuming. And so we had played a benefit show in Nashville for Sanctuary, and we thought, hey, we'll release a song where all the proceeds will go to Sanctuary and help that cause. And then the second one, Angel in the Ashes, was sort of the same thing, but it was to help people in Greece instead of in America, because Emil, the head of our record label, lives in Greece now, and so every weekend, similarly to the Nashville thing, they would go down and feed people and give people clothes, and there was a huge need there. So we liked the idea that we weren't sending money off to some random charity, but we actually knew the people who were doing it. So it's a very long-winded way of saying, I hope we do another one. I would like to keep it going. It's kind of just a cool thing that's not really on a schedule or anything like that, but I don't see any reason not to continue.
Yes, first of all, thank you for your inspiring music. I'm a really big fan of your epic song, Mirror of Souls. And I was wondering, how long did it take you to compose that song, and where did your inspiration come from?
Yeah, I wrote it in 3 minutes. I'm a very slow composer, anyway, as you can tell, 5 years from now. So it always takes me long. That song probably 4 or 5 years in pieces. Not just doing that, but I like to let things sit and come back to them, and because that's the easiest way for me to tell where a song wants to go. So that one took quite a while. I remember having the idea. I remember discussing the idea and thinking it was cool, and I had in my mind this will be an 8-minute song, a 10-minute song, and then it just kept going. The initial seed of the idea was the section in part 1 where the narrator's looking in the different mirrors, each of which represents a person, and he's looking to see how basically to judge his own life based on the way others see him or perceive him. You know, I'm better than this person, I must be pretty good. I'm better than this person, I must be pretty good. This person likes me, I must be, you know, so I thought that was kind of an interesting concept, and then it just...
Fantastic, thank you.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions.
Gaan jullie ook het favoriete nummer van Tigo spelen, wilde je vragen?
Je mag het ook in het Nederlands zeggen hoor, dan zal ik het vertalen.
Gaan jullie ook de favoriete nummer van een broertje zingen? Deze, Ghost Ship.
He wants to know if you're going to play the Ghost Ship.
Do you want us to play Ghost Ship? Did you guys want us to play Ghost Ship? You have to wait and see.
Ja, dat is oké, de laatste vraag is voor jou.
It might be a long one. What's your favorite song and why?
Like favorite song, period? Favorite, yeah. For me it's Mirror of Souls.
Yay!
Yeah. That's why, I don't know, I just love that song. I mean, I've never been very good with characters and writing stories. I would really like to, because some of my favorite songwriters are so good at it that I can't stand it. And that was the one time that I really, you know, pulled it off, and so I'm proud of that one.
I really like Gift of Music. I think it starts off nice and slow and pretty, and it gets really heavy and metal. And it's a good drumming song too. But as far as like the meaning, you know, as far as you know, using your musical talents to, you know, kind of give back, and I like that too. Ooh, yay.
As far as lyrically, what Matt has done in the past, I'd have to say As the World Bleeds, just because for the time of when we wrote the album, and you know, it just seemed very proper at the time, the message itself, and to me it's a harsh message, but it's positive in the end, and I just feel like that overweighs everything else, you know? So, yeah, I'd have to say the title track of that one, for me.
I would also say Mirror Souls, and that's when I joined the band. He had already done lots of writing for Mirror Souls. I remember he gave me the demo for Mirror Souls, and it was all instrumental. So it was a 22-minute, you know, just instrumental. And I was like, you know, without vocals, it's very heavy. But then I remember he sent the next version where he's singing and all the lyrics, and just kind of that moment when you know, piece it together, like how the music flowed and the lyrics and how it all connected. I think that always will, you know, kind of hold that spot. Yeah, it's the number one.
For me, I guess we'll bookend it here, Ernie. For me, it's also the Gift of Music. I think I just relate to it a lot, being sort of a shy and awkward person myself. Not saying that you are, Matt. It's just a line from the song. But yeah, I mean, music has sort of saved my life on more than one occasion. So being able to do that and for people to relate to that music, it's really something special. So,
Okay, thank you on behalf of everybody here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for playing tonight. Thank you for a new album, and thank you for coming back in a couple of years. On the other stage will be a new performance. I think it's cell-minded now. Yes, and then you can come back to the theater to see Marius play. He's an instrumental guitar player, and then afterwards you can either go home or go and see Theocracy. Thank you.
Please don't go home.